I cut my son off from his entire family after they called him a mistake. I was 18 when something horrific happened to me. The guy is in jail now, but my son is the result of that night. When I found out I was pregnant, my family made it terrifyingly clear they didn't want me to keep him. My mom drove me to the clinic, muttering, "You'll thank me one day." I sat there, hand shaking on the door handle, sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. When I said I couldn't go through with it, my mom yelled I was ruining my life. Then they switched to pushing for adoption. I told myself I'd decide after he was born. But when I held him for the first time, all the fear and anger blurred out. That was my baby, and I didn't care how he came into the world. He was mine. My family didn't see it that way. When I gently asked my mom to hold him, she yanked her hands back and yelled, "Don't make me touch that." My dad scoffed, saying, "You've ruined your life. That thing's going to remind you every day of what happened." It only got worse. My dad made snide comments at every dinner about him growing up to be a monster. My sister asked if he was going to look like his father. My mom never defended me, once telling my aunt my baby was tainted and better off never knowing where he came from. Every time he cried, she recoiled and hissed, "God, make him stop. I can't stand that sound." At family gatherings, my son was met with silent stares and whispered comments. They never cooed over him like they did other babies. My dad even refused to include him in family photos. When I begged, he barked, "Why would we want a reminder of that night on our wall?" The last straw was my brother. He leaned over the crib, looked at my son like he smelled something rotten, and shook his head. "You should have gotten rid of him when you had the chance. Now you're stuck with a mistake for 18 years. That was the moment I stopped trying. I packed our things and left. The only person who stood by me was my grandmother. She let us move in, treated him like a normal kid, and proudly called him her bright boy. She treated him like the best thing that ever happened to her, and when relatives made a cruel comment, she'd snap back, "If you can't accept him, don't bother coming around me either." My son is 5 now, loud, curious, obsessed with dinosaurs. We were fine without them. They never reached out. 2 weeks ago, my grandmother passed away. The funeral was the first time I saw my family in years. My parents wouldn't stop staring at my son, suddenly gushing, "Oh, he looks so much like you. He's adorable." My aunt, who was once repulsed by him, smiled too wide and said, "Finally, we get to meet our grandson." At one point, my dad reached down to pick up my son without asking. I stepped between them so fast he froze, his hand midair. When a relative whispered, "Don't make a scene," I knew they still didn't get it. My son tugged my hand and asked, "Who are they?" I bent down and told him, "Nobody worth knowing." My dad's face went pale. He asked if we could talk, but I told him no and left. Later that night, a friend of my grandmother's showed up with a peace offering, my parents' number. I texted them to leave us alone. They started calling non-stop, sending long texts swearing they regretted everything, that they were in shock back then and just needed time. They kept saying my son deserves grandparents and that my grandmother would want us to forgive them. But I keep flashing back to the way they looked at my son like he was dirty. Yesterday, after I finally blocked their number, my son asked in his tiny voice, "Mommy, are they our family?" The knot in my heart tightened. I don't think I can ever forgive them. They lost their chance to be family the moment they called my son a mistake.